Welcome to Marketing and Mindset for Wellness Coaches, the podcast for health coaches and wellness entrepreneurs just like you who are building a business, making the world a healthier place, and designing a first-class life. I'm your host, Kim Foster, MD and certified business coach, and I'm on a mission to help you up-level your strategy and raise your mindset so you can truly thrive and grow your business. Let's get started. Welcome. I am so happy that you're here listening to this episode because this is such a good topic, and I have been planning to talk about this for a while. So here we go. I want to talk about making decisions from your future because here's the thing. What we often do is we just think the same thoughts and make the same decisions and do the same things and nothing ever changes. There's a Thomas Jefferson quote that I really love. It's, "If you want something you have never had, you must be willing to do something you have never done." So if you want something different for your life than what you've got right now, you're going to need to be willing to live from your future and break up with parts of yourself that are holding you back. And that is uncomfortable, but it's where growth happens. It's where change happens. And it's how you can actually create the life that you want. Now, let me tell you a story just to help illustrate this idea. Many years ago, my husband and I bought a house in France. Yep, we bought a house in the French countryside in Normandy. It's about 2 hours west of Paris. Now, we still own that house today, and we go over there every summer, and it is our little slice of heaven. And when people ask me, what on earth caused us to do that all those years ago, I like to tell them that my husband and I had, kind of a midlife crisis at the same moment, which was actually pretty convenient in retrospect. But we were both stuck big time. We were stagnant in life and it did not feel good. We had our first child and he was 3 at that point, and I had a medical practice and just really wasn't enjoying it. And my husband was working in real estate and getting kind of burned out of that. And we were just craving a change. We'd settled into a really stagnant rhythm. And for whatever reason, we started looking at the cost of real estate in France and started dreaming about that. And the dream became more like planning. And then suddenly we were connecting with a realtor over there and booking flights and actually going around and looking at houses. We looked at a lot of houses and one was the clear winner. It was exactly right, exactly what we were looking for. And that night, as we were sitting in the hotel, we hesitated. We were like, are we crazy? What are we doing? And all the old fears came up of, what if this is a terrible mistake? What if we are going to lose a lot of money? We didn't know anybody else who had done the same kind of thing. Honestly, I don't even know too many people now who does this kind of thing. The plan was to rent the house when we weren't there, a vacation rental. And this was actually well before Airbnb was even invented and well known. So we didn't even have that kind of well-recognized thing to back us up. It was just an idea that we had. So of course, nothing bad would have happened to us if we had just flown home at that point and chalked it up to a really great vacation with our 3-year-old in the French countryside and in Paris and had just gone home and been like, oh, remember that time we almost bought a house in France? That would have been crazy, right? But we sat there with a bottle of wine, obviously, after our son was asleep, and we talked about who we wanted to be and the kind of life that we wanted to live. Did we want to be the people who just kind of talked about doing these kinds of things and maybe even took the first couple of steps, but when push came to shove, we just played it safe? Did the same thing that any sane person would do in that situation? Or did we want to be the people who did the thing, who took the risk, knowing that it might not work out, but doing it anyway, and really being able to look back without regret? It was a risk, but it was a calculated one. French real estate was not crazy expensive in the countryside. It still isn't, actually. And we had done our research. We knew it was a good area. There was potential. Plus, it would be something that we would actually use. And it would allow us to raise our family with that global worldview, which was really important to us. And so sitting there that night on the cusp of the decision, we were like, If we don't say yes to this, why are we even here? What have we been doing with all the dreaming and planning and thinking? So even though literally everybody we knew thought we were insane, we did it. We put in an offer, we got the house, and it has been the best decision we have ever made. And it's totally shaped our lives and our family. But we made the decision from our future. We asked ourselves what our future selves would want us to do, not our current day selves, the ones who were inexperienced and naive and scared of taking a financial risk, but the future selves with grown-up kids and a lifetime of experiences. What would our future self decide? And so we made the decision at that moment, but from our future. No matter what you want to create, who you want to become, what you want to do, it's going to require that you learn to live from the future version of yourself that has already created that. And I know a lot of you struggle with this. I hear it all the time. So many of you are living based on the past. If you think about what you have created up until this point, you'll see that all those things have been based on your belief system and your thoughts and your state of being up to that point, which impacts how you show up in the world. It impacts what you do and what you don't do. I hear it from doctors who want to change or pivot their careers, for example, but they get stuck because up to that point, they have considered themselves clinical practitioners and physicians, and they get stuck in the story of how much money they spent getting educated or how long it took them to get there. And what I ask them, because I ask myself this question all the time, did you get that education in order to limit your choices, to be a prisoner to what you've already done and been? Because what do you really want to do? And if it's not what you're doing right now, you're going to need to change your self-image and your identity and your mindset first. And that's what will allow you to make the decisions that will help you step into your future. And it's not just for doctors, of course. It's people in any career or line of work, especially if it took them a while to get there. But that's like the sunk costs fallacy, right? The time is gone. It has been spent. You don't get that time back, even if you stay in that career. So don't decide based on who you are now and what brought you to that point. Decide based on your future, what you want going forward, not looking back. What most people do is they look around at what is right now, which is based on past thinking, and then they try to create from that place. And this is so hard. It's hard because we always come back to what we think. We always come back to our belief systems, and we try to create a belief system that is based in the past, which simply does not allow you to create a new future. A lot of years ago, like a lifetime ago, before I had kids, I was working as a physician in downtown Vancouver. And in the coffee shop next to the clinic where I was working, I came across a brochure that listed a writing conference that was happening in the city. And I had always loved writing, but of course I had a self-image of myself as a doctor, nothing else, not really. Anything else was just a hobby. And in my mind, doctors did not go to writing conferences. They went to medical conferences. But something in me really wanted to go and see what this world was like. So I registered and I went, and it was insanely amazing. It really opened my eyes to the idea that I could do whatever I wanted to. And on one of the days, I was having lunch at one of the conference tables and meeting some other aspiring authors. And one guy was talking about how he was going to be pitching one of the big time New York literary agents that were at the conference. And I was horrified at that idea. I was like, well, this conference is really fun and everything, but I won't be doing that. I'm not going to be pitching my book idea. No way. Again, I was all, doctors don't pitch their book ideas to literary agents. But then I talked to the guy a little more, and I learned that he was a regular guy with a completely separate profession. He had a job at an IT company or something like that, and he wrote sci-fi novels in his spare time. Cut to the following year, after me spending an entire year tinkering away on my novel and coming up with the crazy idea that maybe I could actually pitch my novel to one of the agents just to see what would happen. And so at the next conference, the next year, that's actually exactly what I did. And that, my friend, is how I got my New York literary agent and how I became a published author with 4 novels under my belt. Nuts, right? But it's because I made the decision not on who I had been up to that point or even who I considered myself to be, but who I was in the future, the type of person that I wanted to be, the type of life I wanted to lead. Now, imagine if I was living from my past. I would have been sitting there thinking about how it wasn't possible because I had never done it before, how it was silly because you shouldn't dream that big. And that state of mind and being would have kept me from being open to the possibility that I could write a novel and get a literary agent and get my novel published. Honestly, it was the exact same process when I discovered the world of coaching. I could have just thought, yeah, that's nice for some, but that's not really for me. I see that some people are making 6 figures and beyond in coaching, but I'm a physician. That's my role. I'm not really meant for this coaching thing. And I see this with my clients now as well. Other aspiring coaches, they'll come to me and they'll say things like, I want to become a coach, or I want to make more money in my coaching business. But what they do is they try to create those results from the past, which doesn't work because what they end up doing is having a lot of incongruence. Sure, they're taking action, but they're taking action from the past, which means they're thinking thoughts that their past self would have thought and feeling familiar emotions or holding on to past beliefs and stories, which is why taking the action is so hard because it's based in the past versus really stepping into the future. When you step into the future, you ask yourself, who would I have to become to get this result? What would I be thinking if I had this result? How would I be showing up? What decisions would I be making if I were already this person? And what actions would I be taking if I were already this person? And when you come from that place, it's no longer a matter of trying to drag your past with you. It's more about simply aligning with the future version of yourself, which is a much easier thing to do because when you do that, you eliminate that incongruence. Let's say you decide that you want to make 6 figures in your business, but this is not something you have ever done before. You're going to have a lot of internal conflict over that. There's going to be a split energy, whether you realize it or not. There will be a split between how things have always been for you and what you've been taught to believe about money and your capability to make money. And you're going to have to slog your way through all of that. Instead, when you have that internal shift and you recognize that if you are ever going to make 6 figures in your business, then you have to be a 6-figure-a-year business owner and practice that on a daily basis. Which means when you have those limiting beliefs come up, when the fears come up, you have to remind yourself, no, we are living from the future. It's the future you that has already made 6 figures a year. She is not worried about making 6 figures. She's already there. And really learning the skill of thinking on purpose from your future, feeling the feelings that you think you're going to have in the future and showing up and making decisions that your future self will make, I'm telling you, it will blow your mind. And when you get good at it, the muscle gets stronger. And you'll do this on a daily basis and really hold true to it and have faith in it. You'll see exactly how you will create that future for yourself. I have seen and experienced this so many times, not just in my own life, but also in the lives of my clients. It's just how the world works. Nowadays, when I'm thinking about my future, one of the questions I love to ask myself is, what decisions does that woman make? It's such a good question, and I want you to ask yourself the same question. I know many of the women I talk to struggle with making decisions, and maybe you're the same. You flounder, perhaps, have trouble making the decision, which makes you feel stuck. And then maybe you do make the decision, but you doubt your decision, which keeps you stuck as well. Because the moment that you doubt your decision, you don't have your energy behind it. It's like you don't have your own back. I mean, if you think about it, if you want a big, beautiful, and bold life, you've got to be willing to make big, beautiful, and bold decisions. I was deciding about whether to make a big investment in my business a little while ago. And instead of making the decision from where I was at the time, which is to say who I had been up to that moment, I made the decision from the future. I was like, the future me definitely invests in this. It's a no-brainer. The future me says, yep, done, sold, I'm in. And so I did it. And then I decided to feel amazing about that decision. It was made, it was done. So I didn't doubt it or second guess or sit around regretting it. I just decided and said, I'm going to make this work. I'm going all in on this decision. Do you ever do this? Do you make a decision and then spend a whole bunch of time and energy regretting it or second guessing it? My husband actually does this quite often. He really labors over certain purchases. He's a big comparison shopper. Like he spends weeks poring over the options to choose the best thing, which is fine. I mean, I do not do that. That drives me crazy. I do a quick calculation of the time that it costs me to do all that comparison shopping. And I'm like, yeah, even if I do find a slightly better deal in the end, I'll have lost money ultimately because my time is valuable. Anyway, he does all this thinking and comparing. And then even when he does make the decision and the purchase, he still keeps looking. He still keeps up the hunt just to see if maybe he made a mistake or he missed out on a better deal or something. It makes me crazy. Seriously. I talk to him about it all the time, especially once the decision is made. It's done. Go all in, feel great about it, and move forward. But back to making decisions and your future. I hope you can see it's such a fun, creative process as compared to simply reacting what is and living from your past. Because of course, if you keep thinking the same thoughts and doing the same things and making the same decisions based on your past, you're just going to keep recreating your past. So to create that future that you desire, you need to live from that place and be the woman who is living that future now. And listening to this now, you're probably thinking, oh yeah, this is great. I love this idea. But when you first start practicing it, I can assure you it's going to be uncomfortable because you're going to have to make some uncomfortable decisions. Plus, our brains don't like change. Our primitive brains just want us to stay nice and safe, tucked in our comfort zone because it's gotten us this far. So don't mess with that because we might not survive. But in order to create the future that you really want, you're going to have to change the way you think, change the way you show up, change the decisions that you're making. We get to choose. And what I know is that if you want to create something you don't yet have, it's going to require that you live from that future place and be a person that you aren't yet, but you're going to be. When I learned how to do this for myself and by doing it day after day, now I've created a completely new reality for myself. And if you want to create a new reality for yourself, you have to transcend who you are right now. As I said, a lot of women I talk to are wanting their lives to change, but they're not making the decisions that are needed to change their lives. One of the things that kills our dreams more than anything else is indecision, just sitting around, hoping for clarity, hoping for the right answer. And all you need to do is think from your future and just make the best decision that you can right now in your present, because decisions get the momentum going in your life. But when I think about my future self, she is very decisive. And so I can bring that back into my life today and ask myself, what decisions do I need to make today that will lead me closer to my future? Right now, I'm working on a very big project. It's way bigger than anything I've done before. And I'm not going to reveal any details right now, all in good time. But when I started thinking about making this thing happen, I was all, that's huge. Are you up for that? And my brain wants to come in and tell me, you probably shouldn't do that right now. You probably can't manage that or hire the right people to help you with that. That's kind of a big risk. But I know that my future self is like, you can and you will. And so I know that I need to level up into a CEO role like never before. And that's going to require making decisions from that future version of me. And I'm going to be hiring and growing my team because that is what my future self would do. So I need to do that now. You can only create to the edge of your self-image. And so by practicing being your future, what you're really doing is evolving your self-image to be big enough to hold that future, because that's the only way you can create it. If you don't evolve who you are, then you won't have space for anything other than where you are right now. So being your future is about thinking as your future self, making decisions like your future self, feeling like your future self, and having that energy. If you're somebody who wants to make more money, how much money do you want to make? And what would it feel like to have that amount of money coming in? Like, feel it now? And what does that version of you do? What kind of books is she reading? What is she listening to? Who's she hanging out with? How does she dress every single day? To create something you've never had, you're going to have to become somebody that you have never been. All right, I hope that this has helped you to really think about making decisions in a totally different way. I hope that this has opened your eyes to a really powerful reframe and an effective tool for basically bending time and space and bringing your future so much closer to your present reality. And now I would love to hear from you. After listening to this, how are you going to approach the very next decision that you're facing? What are you going to ask yourself? What are you going to tell yourself? I would love to know. Go ahead and take a quick screenshot of this episode and post it inside your Instagram stories, and be sure to tag me at Dr. Kim Foster and let me know. Okay, that is a wrap for today. I hope you found this episode valuable. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate you. Stay well and stay safe, and I will talk to you next time. Bye for now. Thanks so much for listening. If you are ready to build a coaching business that gives you freedom and flexibility and allows you to make a meaningful impact in the world, but you're not really sure how to get started or what you need to do to attract the perfect clients and grow your income, then let me be your coach. I would love to teach you my exact framework, my proven method for how I created a freedom-based business for myself and how I've helped dozens of clients do the same thing and create a life that is better than their dreams. Get started by heading over to drkimfoster.com/business training, and there you can sign up for my free online training called The 4-Part Formula for Replacing Your 9-to-5 Income with a Coaching Business You Love.